City Council meeting of February 13th, 2017. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call indicates that all the department heads are present, all council people are present, except Mayor Gallus, who is ill today. I'll entertain a motion to excuse him.
Second.
Who moved it?
Yeah, somebody.
Mary, and seconded by Kurzweil. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of January 23rd, 2017 meeting.
Move the minutes.
I have a comment.
Joe?
So, my first question is regarding the minutes. I'm kind of struggling with these minutes because at the last meeting, we weren't recording the tape, and Lynn, we weren't recording the meeting, and Lynn, you said you were going to record it with the audio.
I have not been able to get the audio files off my phone.
Okay, because that was...
Lisa was able to listen to the audio files to do the minutes.
So the difficulty I'm having is that when I review the minutes, I always review the tape to make sure it's 100% accurate. And it's been 3 weeks, and I haven't had a chance to review that audio. So I'm not sure what the delay was there. But yeah, then it wasn't available. Then my other issue is, and I also need some clarification, because on 12/12 I asked to have the letter from Attorney Wilhelm on November 26th, his letter dated November 26, 2016, added to the minutes. And I didn't see that in the packet updated to the minutes. And
It wouldn't have been in the packet, it would have been in the adopted minutes.
right, so the issue, what I'm getting at is, I'll be a little more clear, is I asked for the letter to be added, and then I asked it again on 1/9, and I was told that it was added. However, I didn't have a chance to check because the website was down to see it was actually added to the minutes. Then I went in today, and it's still not added. So I haven't had the opportunity.
We're talking about the minutes from the last meeting.
Right,
After
exactly.
meeting
So,
passed.
but what I'm saying is I was not able to review the minutes from the last meeting because of the tape, and then also because the website's been down to get my original request from two meetings ago.
Well, it's also important to understand that the video is not the official record of the
No, I
city
understand that.
minutes.
I understand that, but
So, not being able to review the video or the audio tape to review the minutes really doesn't hold the meeting and approval of the minutes up, because the minutes are the
Right,
official
but
record.
let me clarify again. So I asked on the 12/12 meeting to have the letter added, okay?
And Lisa did.
Can
If
you
she did not-
confirm?
if
I haven't
That's
seen
not the
it.
version that is on the website, I'm sorry,
No.
but she did add it to the minutes.
Right, so then the website was down, so then on the 9th, I asked if it was added, and I was told yes. So then then the website was still down, I was not able to check, and on the 23rd, I asked, and I was told yes, and it's still not there. So I haven't had a chance to approve all the minutes because we haven't had a chance to review it, my original request. It's just a mess, is the point. Yeah,
Well, it's not a mess, and the
Yes, it
website's
is.
been up for 3 weeks.
not since the last meeting, it was up after the last meeting, after we
Days
approved.
after. So, for
There's
the
a
last
simple, I'm sorry,
19 days.
there's a simple solution, we just put it off to the next meeting to approve the minutes until everyone's had a chance to review the tape, the audio, whatever.
Okay, but maybe Lisa, can you confirm that that letter was added? Because,
It is added to the printed out document. It's on my desk. It's attached to the back.
but it was uploaded to the website?
I can't say it was uploaded to the website.
Okay, because the minutes that are uploaded right now are not accurate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Based off of what we
I will have to
approved.
get a different version from Lisa. She is
Okay.
the record keeper.
So you could see.
I'll scan it and send it to you
Okay.
first thing in the morning.
So you
with
could
the
see
letter
that
attached.
what was uploaded is not accurate, and that's hence is why I'm saying it's a mess. I'm not trying to nitpick here. I'm just saying that what we have uploaded is not accurate. So, based off of what we approved.
I can only upload what I have access to.
So I can't approve today's minutes if they're not accurate. and the previous minutes were not accurate.
How are the previous minutes impacting these minutes? I don't understand that, I don't see that. The
Well-
matter before us is the minutes of January 23rd, 2007. Do you have specific comments about these minutes?
Yes, I do, because as I mentioned, the minutes prior to that, were not uploaded, and now we're told that that letter was inserted, so we approved false minutes, in a sense.
They're in the printed out version. I
Okay.
just may have been an oversight for me to send Lynn the scanned copy with the letter attached,
So you
but it
can
is
check-
on my desk. I
You can
could go
check with
get
the
it.
clerk's office tomorrow, if you like,
Mm-hmm.
to see that those minutes are the way you want them to be.
Well, it's not what I want, it was what we approved.
Okay.
We made the motion on,
Are there any other
Nine.
comments on the minutes of January 23rd?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem? Yes, I also do not approve the minutes on January 23rd. And my basis is because there was no audio or video for me to review the minutes and to ascertain whether or not the minutes are correct. The second issue is someone may raise the issue and say, well, you weren't here, so you don't have the ability to approve these minutes. I'd like to refer to Robert's Rules of Order and just read from it. It should be noted that a member's absence from the meeting for which minutes are being approved does not prevent the member from participating in their correction or their approval. So I have not been able to participate in the correction of these minutes, and clearly I'm not going to approve anything that I can't verify is correct. So I will not be voting to approve these minutes tonight.
That's fine. It's common for people who are absent from a meeting to abstain from the passing of the minutes, approval of the minutes. Is there
There's a
anything?
motion on the floor,
It's
so
not required under Robert's Rule.
There's a motion to accept the
approve the
minutes
minutes.
as presented. Is there a second?
That's yours.
Okay, the motion fails. There will be no approval of the minutes.
I'd like to make a comment that we had, for years and decades, had minutes that didn't have any kind of video or audio validation of what had taken place. If you can't look at and read the minutes, you were at the meeting, and you don't have the recognition of whether or not that's an accurate account of what had taken place, you probably shouldn't be sitting
All right,
up
let's
here.
move on to the bills.
That's an inappropriate comment.
Approval of the
isn't.
bills. We're on the bills now. Any questions?
yes, my question is regarding the attorney invoices. I didn't see them in this bill. I thought we normally get them monthly. Is there a reason why they're not included in today's packet?
It's usually the second meeting of the month.
Always the second?
Well, I try to get them the second meeting of the month.
Okay, because, yeah, last meeting, we didn't have them, and it's been 3 weeks since the last meeting, so there were some questions as to getting actually the bills corrected, the attorney bills, and I didn't have them in front of me to review.
They're not part of today's packet.
I'll make a motion.
Question was asked and it's been answered. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll support.
Moved by Parsenian, seconded by Kivel. Any discussion on the bills? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no.
Aye.
No.
No.
The motion passes. Approval of the agenda. Lynn?
I do not have any additions or corrections.
I'll move the agenda.
I'll support.
Moved by Kramer, supported by Kivel. Any discussion?
Yeah, just, sorry, real quick. I noticed there was a witch's hat approval in our packet. Was that maybe slipped in there an accident? I wasn't sure if,
No, that is an item that according to the police chief does not need council approval because they're not asking for any road closures.
okay, just looking for clarification. Thank you.
Good question.
All in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The agenda is approved. Now is the time for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the council in public comment? Yes, ma'am. Say your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Judy Keeling, and I live at 62180 Arlington Circle, Colonial Acres. My question is, last meeting you talked about no money for road repair, And it was mentioned that we pay to have leaves picked up by the city for the residents. My question is, if we didn't pick up leaves for the residents, would that money go into road repair? And could that be reviewed? Because I believe that would be the best for all the people in South Lyon. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, council, mayor, and the city manager. Carl Richards, 390 Lennox. I'm glad to be here. I got to tell you, there's a whole lot of really good stuff that's gone on over the last 3 weeks citywide, mostly small issues. And a lot of times I get at them and bring them all up, but I'm going to pass on that tonight. But rest assured, there's some good stuff that's hard for me to resist to tell you about. So I decided to bring up a new subject, something I've discussed for several years, I guess, or thought about it. I think I've made it mention in passing, and I'm going to give a copy to Mrs. Ladner. I would like you to consider for future agenda consider the creation of a new commission for the city government. Okay? The name of the commission would be the Oversight Commission. The structure of the commission would be 10 to 12 members on a board to start with. The chairman would be the mayor to start with. This would be reduced to 8 members over a period of a year, or maybe 2 years. The composition would be 1 council member and a mixture of people from the community. Business owners, 2 or 3 people, and would meet bi-monthly or as called by administration. The cost of this commission would be nothing. None initially. Okay? Savings-wise, none initially. Okay? And I'm a stickler on savings. But long-term, the savings might be great and potential and substantial. Input for the commission would come both ways, from council to the commission and from the community to the commission. The commission would report back to the city manager and the council on subject material. Purpose of the commission would be overview of vital issues inside and outside of the community as they may arise. Guidelines to follow for the commission would be common sense and fiscal practicality. Also review of charter issues and ordinance clarification at the administration's discretion. Anyway, this is just a rough outline. I've signed it. And you may get it in your packet the next time around, maybe not, but I'm going to submit it to the city manager. I have no copy of this at this time. This is the one and only. There you go. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Is there anyone else who wish to speak to the city commission? Thank you.
Marilyn Smith, 120 East Lake Street. This stuff has got to stop. These meetings are embarrassing. Maggie, I have the floor right now, thank you. They're embarrassing. There's too much grandstanding going on. Last meeting and other meetings, when students have been here, we're supposed to be the adults setting the example. And there's a couple people here that just don't do that. You need to speak to each other respectfully, courteously, or with courtesy. You know what word I'm trying to say.
Courtesy.
Courtesy, that's it. Handle yourselves professionally. You know, before Len was here, we know what a debacle happened with her predecessor. Right or wrong, agree or disagree, we were a laughingstock with nearby communities. It's just got to stop. We don't need to review the entire meeting when it comes to council comments at the end. We don't need to be on Facebook bashing our co-council members. especially when that's happening sometimes even during the meetings. 2 meetings ago, Maggie said something to Bob Martin. You asked him a question, and he was kind of antsy in his seat. He was trying to answer, but you overtalked him. Bob, who is probably the most well-respected, well-liked person in this entire community, and you left him with a bad taste in his mouth. I shouldn't speak for Bob. I didn't tell him I was going to say this, but I was here, so. And then the city attorney. It's always attack, the city attorney. If you're not happy with his work, there's a way to handle that. You don't need to attack him personally. You know, I know there's a letter included in the packet tonight that I'm not going to discuss because I know it's in the packet. But when I went through it, and I just highlighted how many times it was personal attacks, lots. That's unnecessary.
No, it's not.
Completely unnecessary. Speak like an adult with respect. You know, I taught my kids growing up, I don't care who the person is. If you have any questions about anything or you disagree with anything that's before you, you always have a right to question it as long as you do so respectfully. That's all I got to say. Grow up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll call an end to public comment. We have no old business today. We'll go to new business. We have a presentation to council regarding installation of solar power generation equipment at the wastewater plant. And I understand Mr. Corey Balla is going to give the presentation. Welcome, Corey.
Hey, did you hear they rebuilt the hotel? All right. Corey Balla, South Lyon Hotel, 201 North Lafayette. Not here to talk about the hotel, but I'll answer questions. You guys have any?
Is the beer cold?
Beer's going to be colder. Promise. New equipment, new coolers, do everything. It'll be
I do have a
good.
question.
Yes.
While you're standing here, I'll take advantage. The
Sure.
first floor, is there going to be level raised seating on the, or is it straight from the ground? You know, how you locked up the stairs and you'll be able to eat outside. Is it going to be raised seating?
So the beautiful thing is that it's going to be about 8 to 10 inches above grade at the front door. So if you can envision, no more steps. It'll be, handicap, wheelchair accessible right into the front door. The porches downstairs will just be a patio. It'll be either concrete or like brick pavers. And we actually got Ys, and there's going to be a wall, so you have to go in before you get to the porches. So Harvey can't sneak out with beers in hand. So
Okay,
yeah,
thank
and
you.
then on the back side, it'll be similar. As you know, the grade's a little bit lower, so there'll be a concrete riser to get up to it.
Cool, okay. Yeah, I think, because that, honestly, that's one of the number one questions people say. They love sitting outside and want to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure it's,
So as you remember, I had a cooler and a storage room on the Whipple Street porch, and that's going to be gone. We pushed into the alley, so I almost doubled the seating capacity on the porches. So
great, thank you.
good stuff. Yes. All right. So since I don't have a bar to run, I sell solar energy. I've been doing this kind of part time for a long time with a company called SRS, Superior Renewable Solutions. I've put packets at all of your seats, and basically, I don't know nearly as much as the owner of the company, Chris Yurko, so I'm going to let him speak.
Thank you for having me this evening. I unfortunately,
You want to use the microphone so that people at home can hear what you're saying? Thanks.
I apologize. I thought I had my remote working and got a little technical difficulty, so I'll have to do this by hand. Well, again, thank you for having us this evening. Testing?
Yeah,
That
it
work?
should work.
Is that okay?
It should work, yeah.
Okay, very good. Again, tonight we'd like to just talk to you about our proposal of a solar project for the water treatment center, talk real briefly about some of the basics of solar, what site we're looking at, and then talk about what are the benefits of working with Superior Renewable Solutions and our recommendations. We're a Michigan-based integrated solar designer, renewable energy designer, and we bring design and financial structuring experience. Some of you may have seen in biography or profile, my background really comes from the finance side. And so one of the things that we try to do is not only design a system that is going to impact your energy and reduce your energy spend as much as possible, but also structure it in a way that makes financial sense. Many of you may be familiar with solar, but just to touch on it, really, solar is a very maintenance-free system. The sun will hit the panels electrons will excite it and produce DC electricity. Inverters then produce AC electricity, which then goes back onto the grid. You've seen the panels, they're 3x5 panels. They're placed in an array. What we're talking about near the water treatment facility would be a ground-based project, and we'll talk about that in a little more detail. But the technology is over 40 years old and it's very safe. Just to touch on some common myths, I was speaking with a gentleman in California just today who said solar in Michigan, so let's talk about it. Some people are concerned that maybe it's not sunny enough in South Lyon. Are the panels fragile? How expensive is it really? And talk about the technology. So I'm just going to touch on those quickly. First of all, there is plenty of sun in the Midwest. I'm not sure if you've heard, Germany actually currently leads the world in solar production. Believe it or not, about 30% of all solar production in the world is now in Germany. Based on the graph I have behind you, Michigan has a higher potential production than Germany. Also, if you'll see on the chart, it shows Phoenix, Los Angeles. A lot of people are under the misconception that for solar to work, you need to be in an area like Florida, where it's sunnier longer. There is some advantage, maybe about a 20-25% advantage to Florida, but actually panels work more efficiently in the cooler temperatures. So in Michigan, you're going to gain 10 to 25% efficiency or production because of the coolness. Therefore, the difference in gap of that is not that great. So if you look at the chart, Germany, according to my chart, is more comparable to, say, northern Washington or Alaska. And Michigan and the Midwest actually is a very friendly region for solar. Also, people often ask, well, is snow an issue? Just touch on that. Snow really isn't much of an issue. Yes, snow can cover a panel. However, the panels are dark. When the sun comes through, they create what's called a solar spot. They heat up, and then the snow or ice actually melts right off. So there's not a maintenance issue for that. Also, in Michigan, very little of the solar production actually happens in the months of December, January, and February, so the impact of snow is very little. Also, the panels are very hardy. People say, well, how do they hold up? And actually, panels can withstand 2-inch hail up to 90 miles an hour. Also touch on it, too, and panels also are warranted for up to 25 years. So they're very, very sturdy. Talking about solar, people can think that solar may be too expensive, and just to speak to that, actually rates, the solar equipment rates have dropped by 50% in the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, we've seen them drop about another 20 to 30% just in the last year. And that's really because of a large production or overproduction from a lot of the panel manufacturers that are really trying to get a foothold in the United States. So we talk about some of these projects, the rates of equipment have made projects very affordable. It's not a new technology. Actually, some systems have been in place since the 70s. The first panels were produced in the 50s. So it's not a new technology at all. It's been improving every year, but it's a proven technology. So now on to why are we here tonight? Corey had been speaking with Lynn and Bob about what we could do, especially in regards to this the wastewater treatment plant. There's some space there. There's a pretty consistent electric spend there, and we felt it might be an opportunity to bring in a system that could reduce your spend and do so for a very long period of time. As I mentioned, the panels have a 25-year warranty, yet a life expectancy of 40 years. So the idea is to see what kind of system could fit there and put a dent in your spend long term. What we realized in looking at numbers, and we still have to do a more in-depth design or feasibility, but our initial proposal, or numbers that having our engineers look at it, says there's space for about 338 kilowatts of DC energy, which are produced about 490,000 kilowatt hours annually. So I'm trying to remember exactly what the current rates are, but we're talking about a $50,000, $60,000 a year reduction in electric spend just the first year. Sure, absolutely.
So the numbers that we put together are based upon, are we close on that? If you guys turn the page a couple more, there's actually like there's a map, an overhead layout. Looks like this. So the numbers that we put together are based roughly on what we can tell from there you go, from pacing the property ourselves, from the engineers looking at it from Google Earth. As you can see, I mean, if we decide to move forward, there's certainly potential to remove some trees in between some of those areas. It's really going to depend on, how much of the electric spend you'd like to address. Certainly, there's more room for this. Initially, I think the initial proposal, we were looking at a full 720 kilowatt, but that was based upon potentially also addressing the water tower and utilizing part of that park across the street, which I've been since told probably wouldn't be such a good idea. So just put in the back of your mind that these are preliminary numbers, and that moving forward, if we decide to, maybe you decide that you want to address more of a spend in other areas of the town, that might be an option also. Good deal.
So one thing I wanted to just address, in the state of Michigan, you might have heard, there's a rule that states that you cannot net meter for larger than 150,000 kilowatts. And what net metering really means is when your system produces, if you overproduce, your meter will run backwards and the utility would utilize that electricity. And at the times when you underproduce, your meter would run in a normal direction, but you would spend the credits. I just wanted to bring that up and stating that when we looked at space and looked at spend, we still believe that with 338,000 kilowatts, it would only make up 24% of your reduction. Therefore, there's not a worry about a limitation of the net metering, because you would never produce at a point where you were selling back to the grid. You would utilize, in this model, it would be what's referred to as a no load or no flow. You would utilize all of the electricity that you produce. So, I'll touch on this a little bit more. We put up there a figure again before we do final design, but a gross project cost of about $750,000. However, as I mentioned, my background really is in structured finance and how do you make it work. When I speak with municipalities like yourself, what we also bring to the table is a strategy. I guess I'm probably getting ahead of myself here a little bit. But a strategy that will allow you to take advantage of the credits and depreciation you normally would not be eligible for. And I'll touch on that here in another slide. So going back to what Corey mentioned, again, if you see the picture in your packet there behind, we see numerous areas that could work. We prefer south-facing. We prefer minimum shading, so we'd have to look at where the trees are. And obviously, wanting to work closely with you as to where your preferences are and where we can place it so that it makes sense and assists the city altogether. But we need to do a much deeper dive in that design to work with you. So we're not coming here saying this is exactly where it should be, just what the possibilities are. So just a couple other things about Superior Renewables Solutions and why to work with us. We are local, as I mentioned, we're Michigan-based. We do work with, we do have a design engineer we work with who has designed over 40 megawatts of solar and is expert at doing this. We work with only tier 1 suppliers when it comes to equipment. We take great pride in the ability to procure that equipment at the lowest prices. And we also offer workmanship warranty so that you know that we stand behind the work that we do. Also mention again with these tier 1 suppliers, your panels have a 25-year warranty, and that's provided by a third-party insurer. So it's not from us, it's not from the manufacturer, it's also a third-party warranty that says that's a production warranty saying these panels will produce as they're expected to. Another piece, a little small for me to read here, but one of the big pieces I haven't mentioned here yet is the positive environmental impact of putting in a solar array. As you see, through the lifetime of a project of the size that we proposed there of 338 kilowatt hours, it would be like planting 234,000 trees. It would also be, I'm having eye surgery on Wednesday, by the way, guys, so that's a true story. There's pictures, you can see it. Yeah, so bottom line, I won't belabor that, you guys will watch me squint. Yeah, exactly. So, but no, there's a great environmental impact. We have, sure. Oh, one thing to talk about this too. We do provide monitoring, which goes back to the warranties. What that means is with web-based monitoring, you'd be able to see that the panels are what they're producing on a day-to-day basis. And what we've done in some other projects is we could set it up where you could have a nice television outside. So as members of the community came in, you could see exactly what's being produced and what the positive impact is because of this program to show that you are being, great environmental stewards here. So, very nice piece.
As Chris said, and that wouldn't, it's all done online, so that TV that he's speaking of wouldn't have to be there. We could put it right in your lobby here, 60-inch screen TV, and show everybody that walks past that, what you're doing for the community.
And obviously on your website, people could go online and see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, Kramer's got extra TVs too. I'll just take one of his and put it right over here.
Have plenty.
All right. Well, let me speak briefly again to the financing and where, like I said, what we do is a little bit unique and I think advantageous to municipalities like yourself. The financing would be done through a structure that's referred to as an ESA or Energy Service Agreement. What it really is a service contract where a third party purchases equipment, leases it to you, and with our help, provide you a guaranteed service contract. By doing it that way, they're able to take the tax credit and the depreciation and pass the majority of that savings on to you. What that tax credit is a 30% investment tax credit, which is a federal credit, and the depreciation for those of you who know, the depreciation of the equipment also gets passed along based on the current rules. So it's through that model that municipalities or schools, organizations that don't typically pay taxes can still receive a benefit. One of the other nice things about this, by structuring it this way, because it's a lease and service contract, you still have the opportunity, if it makes sense, to purchase the equipment after 6 years. Why 6 years? Because that's the vesting period for the credits. In the time that you're under contract, all operation, maintenance, insurance is covered by the lessor, by the owner of the equipment, which would be referred to as an SPE or special purpose entity that we would help bring to the table. And then probably the big piece is there would be no upfront capital needed. So I saw everyone writing down when I threw out the first initial number of about $750,000. The idea is not for the city to have to come up with $750,000, but come up with just making monthly payments on the energy service contract that are less than what they would have been making in their typical utility. So what we like to say at Superior Renewable Solutions is we're here to help you save a little bit now, save a lot long term, and help you gain some independence from the utility. So what are the next steps and why are we here? So as I mentioned, we looked at an area, we walked the area, but we need to have a more in-depth dive, soil samples, and really have a conversation with you about where would it be best to place those panels. To do that and start the feasibility, what we're asking for really, and I think it's attached in the packet, would be a letter of intent from the city saying, okay, we have enough interest that we'd like you to take this dive. And then there is some cost. I think we're proposing it's $3,000, and that would be to cover engineering costs, soil samples. We'd also do negotiation with the utility, make sure everything is set up. That money goes toward final cost, so it's not an additional. And that would allow us to come back to you. Yeah. In our total one, we would handle all permitting, all the rest of that, the cost for that. So when we come back to you at that point, we would then have a final design that you'd be able to dive into. We'd have a final contract. We'd have a final financing term sheet to make sure that the economics of it all makes sense. But before we dive into that, that's where I say we wanted to share our vision. Hope this is something that has appeal to you, and if so, look for you to give us that commitment so that we can now do the serious work of making sure that we've got a real project to place in front of you for your consideration. So with that, I guess if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer questions. Oh. Okay.
So included with the presentation that Chris just gave, Lynn had asked me to pass along basically what I had given to Lynn and Bob, several weeks ago when we got the process started. Got an introductory letter. We also have there's basically a company bio, and it's a little bit about us as well as the lender that we use, as well as one of our main installers that we use most often. After that, I wanted you to look at the estimated term sheet, just to explain something real quick. Those numbers are just, at this point, conceptual. They were based on 720 kilowatts. Again, originally when we were hoping that we could use a couple different places, that's what these numbers are based on. So, the numbers are basically, you can do the math. If we're looking at doing about half of that, you can look at the payment structure. So it kind of indicates how Chris mentioned, basically, it'd be a 20-year contract. Again, I'll repeat that the panels are under warranty for 25 years and thought to last for 40 years. But based on a lower monthly payment, based on lowering your electric costs, and based on controlling grid inflation, you'll have these things paid off in 20 years. And realistically, other than these soft costs that he's talking about, won't cost you a penny. So we're talking about going green, and we're talking about doing it at basically no cost. And then lastly, in that packet is the LOI, the letter of intent that Chris was referring to, that if you do have questions regarding, what the next step to move forward is, that's basically what we're looking for. So please now, Mary, did you have a question?
I did have a quick question. How many communities do you know of that have done this, and is it successful with them? How's their success rate with this? Because this is, to me, the way of the future. I think everything's going green and good. It would be fabulous to have this come to South Lyon. But what's the success rate in other communities?
Talk about Vegas and...
No, I've been involved in, off the top of my head, probably 6 or 8 communities. I'll be honest, the majority of them have been in Indiana.
Okay.
Why Indiana? Because they have a much more progressive rule regarding net metering, which makes it simpler. And all those projects are none of them are older than 3 or 4 years, though, to speak to that, because I think the financial model affordable for municipalities and schools is relatively new. But as I also mentioned, when we're doing our projections, we're doing this based on 40 years of Department of Energy numbers, and so no, the projects have been successful. One last piece to talk about that too. When we're talking about this structure, we're talking about an investor who's then purchasing and then leasing the product to you. So they have just as much of skin in the game to make sure that the system produces what we say it is, because they're the ones that are behind that energy service contract. So you have those guarantees that the numbers we say are going to be there are going to be there. Okay. So you have production protection, if you will.
Thank you. I was going to ask Bob too. So it's not DBW, it's water treatment. What are your thoughts on this?
This would be out at the wastewater plant. That's where we've looked so far. The wastewater plant is all about science, biology, physics, chemistry. This fits right in with that. It's an outstanding concept. I think Corey was hoping we even had more area, true, to put a few more. But I think you can't just turn your head and say no to it. I think it's well worth taking a look at, but I think we just need to take our time and try to make sure it's the right thing for us. And I can't say enough how well Corey was prepared. Him and the other gentleman, I forget his name, he came out. They did a very nice job, and they met with us a couple times. In fact, he met with all my guys, in fact, and answered a lot of questions. And I'm sure we would be one of the few wastewater plants, maybe anywhere, that had this. Would you say that?
So there's two in Minnesota, and of course I should have brought some articles, but articles do exist regarding this project, and they specifically put them at the wastewater treatment because it's, far enough out of town and they had land. But as a similar, I want to say it was like a 12,000 population town in Minnesota. I'll get that for you and I'll send it to you. I appreciate the compliment. We're trying to stay on top of things. One thing I wanted to say, when we brought it to Bob, Bob was very clear that he doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life and that he doesn't want any problems if there were to be any problems with this. So, of course, something that came up was, the fact that this is going to be, they're still on the grid. So God forbid, I don't know, the worst tornado ever comes in and throws all these solar panels all over the place. It's not like the city shuts down. Everything is still going to run, so.
Yeah, no, thank you for mentioning that. I should have been clear. This is not taking you off the grid. This is just because of we'd be touching, in this example, 24%. It's more of an energy reduction plan. You're still tied in. Absolutely. So there's no danger of a discontinued of service.
Right now, I was just going to say our budget for utilities out at the wastewater plant split 60-40 between Edison and consumers is approximately $210,000. Okay.
That's electrical for both?
Gas and
Like
electric.
gas.
It is consumer and DTE just at the wastewater plant.
What's electrical, just electrical?
Well,
Motors,
60,
lights.
it'd be 60% of 210, so it'd be about 145.
I have a couple comments. So first of all, thank you for bringing this proposal. I mean, it's nice you're working with our departments. A couple things stand out and concerns would be that I'm sure you have a great company, but it's a little concerning when I hear you don't do business with any surrounding communities. To hear that there's not very many wastewater plants that offer this kind of has a flag to me. I mean, I don't want to be the guinea pig for something that's not established for these plants. Also, I was expecting to see some sort of you mentioned $750,000. You mentioned it would save money and immediate payback, but there's some figures in here, but just getting this today, it's hard for me to digest what the immediate payoff would be. That brings me to my next point. You've already had these conversations with Bob and Lynn, and you can continue the conversations, but I see in the LOI, I'm in purchasing, and usually, I deal with them. I'm not going to go off with my credentials, but usually the buyer is the one who established the terms. So it's a little unique to receive your current terms and say we're going to pay it based off the LOI. Plus, we have to pay a $3,000 fee when you're the one potentially getting the business. So for me, have all the conversations you want to look at it further, but I can't approve it as long as there's a $3,000 cost. I'm not trying to split hairs over that money. And I understand you're going to be gathering information and providing a service, but at the same time, that's kind of the give and take. Is if you have a potential for getting business, we shouldn't be paying an upfront cost for something that you have a business incentive for.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, so the panels are warranted for 25 years. How about battery capacity and all that kind of stuff? Obviously, this isn't just run directly from the panel into the plant, so you have storage capacity, correct?
No, there's no battery.
It's direct to the inverter.
That's the inverter direct, to the grid. Yeah, there's no battery storage.
So that's suggesting that you can't end up generating enough electricity for this to take us completely off the grid at any particular moment.
If we had more room. And not with the available space.
Okay. All right, well, that's what I wanted to know. All right, thank you. And I am, as Joe, interested in finding out where those financial breakdowns are, where the break even is and all that kind of stuff, to see where the actual projected savings are as opposed to just this amalgam number, of the overall life of this contract, so.
Well, again, what we're looking for would be finding out whether you had a serious interest in us diving in deeper, because there are costs for us.
Well, it is baby steps. I get
Sure.
that, so, yeah.
So before we pay for engineers to dive in deeper, we want to make sure that this is something that you would seriously consider. And we'd be glad to provide you a ton more information. And again, we know this is really just an introduction.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have several concerns. Number one, I don't know if you were aware or not, but the city received a letter from the state of Michigan where it was regarding taking corrective action because our expenditures were exceeding our revenues. So I'm not convinced that we're in the best financial position to even be listening to this, and why this is here, I don't know. I mean, I'm in favor of green energy myself. I'm very, very interested in the wind generators that are found clearly in the state of Wisconsin that are generating energy. I understand green energy very well, but you also have to time it financially and be able to absorb the costs. I just don't think we're in that position in the city of South Lyon in 2017 or maybe in 2018. We have a bond over in the department of payments that we're paying about, I don't know, $380,000 a year. We've got about 9 more years paying down on that bond. Last year, the sewer and water department was operating at a loss. I don't even know if they've even climbed out of that mess over there yet. So I'm not inclined to pump any more money over into sewer and water into that department over there until they get their feet on the ground and that department is operating in the black and not in the red. And we're a little bit further down the line and paying off the bond. I just think it's financially irresponsible. Additionally, if we're going to look at solar energy, I think we need to look at several companies. I mean, you're not the only rodeo in town. There may be other solar energy panel companies out there that provide alternatives. I think if you're going to get into solar energy, you have to look at backups with batteries. I'm a little bit, disillusioned that you don't have a battery storage to store some of this. I think that would have been an additional benefit to moving into the solar panels. But you don't have that component.
Well, we certainly have the capability. It was just, it
It
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense based on
then
the
maybe it
space.
doesn't make sense for us to have this. So I personally am not going to vote for the letter of intent just because I feel the city's not in a financial position to be considering this. But that's just my opinion.
Well, the situation that we explained doesn't involve getting more money. In fact, it's saving the city money. That was the whole idea behind it.
Yeah.
Corey, can we just see some,
Go ahead, Mike.
some hard numbers?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see from, Bob's department, what our annual costs are, what the savings would be, because I know we have to pay a lease for 20 years. I just want to make sure it all makes sense.
This is an introduction to, we're not
Yep,
looking to.
yep, no, but I just so we get a better grasp of all the financials.
Well, the
Anything
other,
else?
yeah, the other thing I
done,
mean,
Mike?
Yeah.
I have concern is,
Mary?
I mean, 750,000 is a lot of money to invest over multiple years. We have a lot of bonds. I mean, I look at it and I'm tying everything to the area. I mean, home values are going up. People are paying more in their property taxes. We're talking about the roads need to be fixed. Who knows where that's going, what kind of proposals to be before that for that. They need to build another school. I mean, they're already at full capacity when the new school's going to come out. Who knows if somebody's going to talk about a rec center again. I mean, there's all these millages I'm seeing increasing. And to tax us with, not tax literally, but to put this in front of us when we have all these expenditures, I mean, there's a reason why people are still using old-fashioned electric, I mean, yeah, maybe the way of the future, but right now, until I see firm payoff and hard numbers, I'm not entertaining this as well, so.
Okay. Done? Mary, please?
I just wanted to quickly say that I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a risk. I know that we are financially strapped as a city. However, at the same time, if we were to look at that 60-40, that $210,000 breakdown each month? If we were to look at that, and if you showed us, hey, this is the breakdown of how much you're going to be saving every single month, every single year for the next
That's for a
20.
year, Mary.
Oh, that's for the year.
Yeah.
So if you were to give us a breakdown, that $210,000, I mean, if you were to tell us that's going to be cut in half or 75% or something, give us some hard figures, I would be inclined to look into that because you'd be saving so much money overall. So yes, right now we're financially in not the position we want to be in, but if we did implement this and over time you could show us some figures up front to say this could be cut in half, that would turn my head, absolutely. So I'm looking at it from a different perspective.
I know without the engineering that you can't actually get firm numbers, but you should be able to establish some thumbnails of where that break-even point is and all that, so.
Your presentation was fabulous too, great job.
Oh, thanks. We'll get you some numbers. Great.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, then I'd like to say the same thing too. I'm concerned how this is going to work into our budget. And I think it should be part of our budget deliberations with some savings and expenditures and a little harder numbers. So I would recommend that we refer this to the city administration for further review and bring it back with us when they have some better numbers.
Thank you.
So just to be
Acceptable to
clear,
everyone?
we're not signing the document, the
Oh, no.
LOI, though?
No.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to,
This
that's
is
what
a
I figured.
discussion only item.
We weren't expecting you to sign it tonight. We just wanted you to see what was down the road.
All right, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you
very much.
All right, number 2, consider acceptance of a $1,000 donation from Primetime Marketers. Chief Kennedy?
Okay, real quick, just in Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and adherence to the donation policy for the city. This is back in September of 16. South Lyon was one of 4 Southeast Michigan Bushes locations that Josh Sellers Wine, which is out of California, they have a fire department kind of outreach program, and we just happened to be one of the communities that was picked for this. They just asked that we were there for a day where they did a promotional event, and as part of us being there for the day at the Bushes in South Lyon, they made a $1,000 donation, so it seemed pretty straightforward. So, and we just recently became in receipt of the check, so that's what it's before you
questions?
tonight.
I was just curious, was this also just a kind of a public event? for-
Exactly,
yes,
yeah, I
okay.
mean, we would have
Public
gone there anyway. It
educational
was right during kind of fire prevention season, so.
Yeah, perfect. That's great, thank you.
How do they select us?
Luck, I think it was us, the one in Ann Arbor, West Bloomfield, and I think Fenton has another Bushes by chance, so.
Because that was just, I mean, if they want to give the money, okay, but I was just curious because a company from Chicago says, here's $1,000, do you want it? It kind of reminds me of like the Nigerian prince who has a lump sum to give you. I don't know, that's kind of what came to my
Yeah, it was
mind.
through a marketing firm. When I initially received the contact, I was a bit suspect of the whole thing, and then when I contacted the store manager, he confirmed that it was legit, so.
Well, and CBS Radio is pretty renowned.
I don't know,
so,
is it CBS Radio or is it, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is the check, it says, on the motion, it says primetime marketing. So that was some confusion from
That's what
my,
the check says too.
Yeah, it's,
Mike,
everything seems, it checked out real valid. So
I mean-
this is all 100% on the up and up, so.
yeah, no, and that was my question though, was the donation, it says on our agenda note, accept it from primetime marketing.
Which
And
the
that-
check is made out.
Which is who the check was made out.
All right,
Yep.
gotcha. But then it says strategic CBS Altitude Group is from the email. So it was a little bit confusing as to who's actually giving the check. And then my other question was just, we talked about having a donation policy reviewed, and I was surprised that, if we were contacted about this on September 7th, 2016, and we talked about this donation policy, I think it was 2 meetings ago,
Yes.
that we haven't done anything. I mean, we knew about
Actually,
this.
I'm waiting on policies from the Parks and Rec Commission so we can make sure that the council does not duplicate adoption of policies that the Parks and Rec Commission are already working on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time since we've talked about having that donation acceptance policy, that we've had to accept donations since we've talked about it. So, I mean, it just kind of struck me as something we maybe need to work on a little bit better.
Well, based on the representations of Chief Kennedy, I'll make the motion that we approve the $1,000 donation from Primetime Marketing.
I'll support. And thanks.
Motion by Kramer, supported by Kibble. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thanks for answering that call, Chief.
Yeah.
Consider proposed amendment to the performance evaluation provision of the city manager employment agreement. Tim or Lynn? Tim?
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council. So I think it was last meeting, there was direction to come up with an amendment to the city manager's employment contract to eliminate the February review and pull out the specificity as to the month in which it must occur. And you've been provided with the existing language in the contract and the proposed language. They're very similar. And, you know, Lynn and I have talked about it and exchanged. There weren't any real comments, and this does what it's supposed to do. If there's any questions, I can.
Yeah, I
try
do
and
have
answer.
one.
Go ahead.
Is there a reason why it's made more generic rather than, what was it, the October date, I think is what we were talking about originally? Because that was the annual from the
I
last
think
one.
what this does is it puts, the way I read it and the way I drafted it was to put the council as the primary control with referring and trying to work with the city manager. So if you wanted to do more than annual, you're entitled to do that. It also contains a provision to set goals, which I think comes out of our strategic session. So it provides you with the control to do the city manager's performance review with consultation with her.
Okay, so we can approve
Which
this.
is really what's been going on, I think.
We can approve this language, and then we can also set up a time when we'll discern which month we're going to actually have the evaluation this year.
I thought that had been discussed.
Yeah,
Well, it was.
we
That's
discussed
why I
it.
was surprised it wasn't
But
reflected
if
in
for
this.
some reason the council in the future wants to do, 6-month reviews, quarterly reviews, because of some reason, this gives you that
It doesn't
flexibility to do
prohibit
so.
that, yeah, right, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Maggie?
I asked this question before, and I really didn't get an answer. And you know what, I take that back. I didn't ask the question, I made a comment, and no one responded. When this issue first came up, I read the city manager's employment contract, and it was very favorable to the city manager, very, very favorable to you. And it was not favorable to the city. And I believe that I made the comment, you had a very good attorney that drafted the letter, your contract, because it really was favorable to you. Who drafted the employment contract? Did you have an attorney?
No, I had an attorney review it with me, but I did not draft it.
Who drafted the contract?
I did.
Okay. The problem I have with the amendment is that it's very favorable to you. It's favorable to you because it requires mutual agreement by both you and the city. I think if I had drafted this, I would have been a little bit more pro-city on it. And I think what I probably would have said in it is that the city will provide you with a 120-day notice of when they are ready to evaluate you. And that will be it, is that the city is more in control of the evaluations. Because now what you have is just mutually agreed upon. And we can mutually agree upon anything. I thought it was the October date that was going to be there, but now that has changed. Additionally, I think you need to put something in there that says, should an evaluation not be held annually, which is the problem that we ran into the last time, was that an evaluation wasn't held annually, that there is some sort of ability of city council to continue to move forward with an evaluation. So if for some reason we can't agree on a date, or maybe there are difficulties in getting coordination, at least the city has an opportunity to do an evaluation or to say, this is a year in which maybe you're not eligible for a raise or something like that. I just did not feel that the amendment was pro-city at all. And that's interesting that you drafted the contract, because the contract was not pro-city by any means. So,
Mike?
Then we keep the original section 11, and we just schedule because I believe section 11, as it was written, basically says the review will take place in February, and each year subsequent to that February. So if you want to set a date, and if the city manager does not agree to this proposed amendment that you're suggesting, then we have to revert back to the original contract language.
here was the problem with the first contract language that was drafted by the city attorney. It says that city council shall review the employee's job performance at least once annually, with the first review being in February 2015. So if you can't have the review in February 15, then when do you have it?
Right. but-
That was the problem. For whatever reason, the issue of her not being reviewed in February is not at issue. It's the fact that it didn't happen. Why it didn't happen isn't the issue. The fact is, it didn't happen. And you don't have any language in the contract that the city attorney drafted that gives the city another option at reviewing. It's not there. That was the problem you had the first time, and now you even got it complicated the second time, because now you're making it mutual. She may not agree. This is about the city.
Yeah, I feel a little uncomfortable with having that word mutual.
Joe,
I mean-
you're next.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, you're up.
Yeah, I feel a little uncomfortable with it saying mutual. I mean, yeah, that is a concern. I mean, if it's not pro-city, really having the hand that feeds you is always a little, makes me uncomfortable, drafting your contract. But it's, I mean, usually when there's a contract comes up, it's time for, you can renegotiate, you know? So if we need to change it saying mutually agreeable, that just makes me a little concerned. I don't know if I'd support that too much. And, yeah, that's my comment.
Well, it's hard to determine when the contract would come up for renegotiation, as there are no termination dates or end dates within the contract.
That's my point.
That's
It's
the point.
Very favorable by
It's very
somebody.
favorable to you, Lynn.
Actually, that is standard for city managers.
It's not an unusual sort
Well,
of contract
I mean,
arrangement.
people,
Could be
taxpayers
3 years.
fund your salary. So it should be more favorable to the city is the point, and to the city taxpayers. But that's a whole separate issue.
Yes, Glenn.
The only misgiving I've got is it doesn't give us the ability to, in the event that there isn't a mutually agreed upon time, it doesn't give us a vehicle to impose a date to have the evaluation take place within that at least that annual year. So we end up needing to create some kind of language where we can impose ourselves in the event that we can't come up with a mutually agreed upon time to have this evaluation. Do you see a problem with being able to create that, Tim?
Nope, if that's what council wants to do.
My question is the council seeking to renegotiate my contract?
We're seeking to have an evaluation with you. That's the starting point.
But both Maggie and Joe have pointed out that they don't particularly care for the way the current contract is written.
Well, neither do I, in that if, as what happened last time, February, you were not available to have the evaluation, so it didn't take place. So, and unfortunately, your response at that time had been, well, then there was no obligation for you to be evaluated until the next February, which didn't seem particularly friendly to the council.
That wasn't my response. The council just never brought up the evaluation process.
Well, if you remember the circumstances, it was kind of difficult to try to have that conversation. So let's just not go there. But nonetheless, we need some way to mutually be able to come to an agreement on when this can take place, and in the event that circumstances prevent it from taking place on even a mutually agreed upon time, we have to have some vehicle that allows us to come to a new consensus of when that event will take place. Don't you agree to that?
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
But
Well, I'll just throw it out there if I could.
Joe?
You know, I don't feel comfortable with having, if it's, I mean, I think it needs to be renegotiated eventually, but maybe not now, though. I don't feel comfortable with, quite frankly, sorry, Tim, but having you do it. So, you know, maybe down the road, yeah, let's see how the next evaluation goes, and if we have to make adjustments, we will, but I don't have any confidence that it'll do us any favors, is what I'm saying.
All right, Tim, comments,
Mr. Mayor
please?
Pro Tem and Council, based on the comments regarding the proposed language, I want to throw this out so that I have clear direction. Should we eliminate the annual reference in the performance review and just make it council gets to decide when you review the city manager? Don't impose an annual requirement, because that's what the alleged problem with this provision is.
Comment?
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to Lynn to just say when council decides. I think it's fair to Lynn to have an opportunity every year to know how council is feeling about her performance. That's only fair. So to get away from the yearly review, I don't know if that's fair to Lynn. And I'm not saying to get away from it. I'm saying put the control in council's lap of being able to say, in 4 months or 120 days, we'll give you notice of when we're going to have your review. And if that review doesn't get held when council has noticed you, then come up with another remedy. I don't know. I'm not the drafter here. I can draft it, but I'm not going to do it. I've already given enough hints. But it's very favorable to her. It has no ability for city council to get on a track for yearly evaluations. And I don't know why she wasn't reviewed in February. I mean, she's doing a good job. I just don't know why she wasn't reviewed.
All right, I'm going to make the motion then to postpone the proposed amendment to the performance evaluation to our next scheduled meeting so that we can review the proposed language.
Well, are you directing the attorney to draft new language?
I am.
Yes, well, that would be good in the motion then.
Yes, my apologies.
Okay.
Are
we
you
have-
amending the motion?
As amended.
I'll support that then.
All right, we have an amended motion to direct the city attorney to rewrite the proposed evaluation schedule to our next meeting. And that's seconded by Kivel, I believe.
That's correct.
Are there any other discussion on the matter? And I would, let's just do the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. I would make a suggestion that Tim and Lynn both take part in that discussion. All right, we have a couple of, there's a winter run that Chief has brought before us for information, and there's Depot Day, which is had. Any comments on any of those, Chief?
Both annual events, neither requiring or requesting road closures.
All right, thank you. Let's go to downtown. Bob Donahue.
I submitted the infamous, or the long-awaited, the tax abatement, potential commercial tax abatement and facade grant programs. You had a memo and a table of contents in your packet. I slightly revised the memo, and I updated the table of contents. I found some more items I thought would be valuable. And so the book itself that you received tonight, the notebook, has an updated table of contents. So I think the best way to go about this, talking to Lynn and the city attorney, would be to set a study session.
Yeah.
And then we could get into it
Okay.
for that.
What are we talking about, like on a Saturday or something like that?
Well, I would be hesitant to actually schedule tonight with the mayor absent, because we want to make sure that he is present for
No
it.
problem with that. We're talking concept here,
Yeah,
study session.
it would probably a Saturday, yes.
Okay, that's a lot of material to go through, so we're gonna need a little time to look at it. Want somebody make a motion that we instruct the
question?
city manager?
Another question?
Sure.
One of the things, Bob, that I'm going to be looking at is going to be the financial impact of this abatement program with respect to the budget.
Correct.
I do like your comment that this is conservative. One thing I do want to ask you a question about. In my understanding and talking with the state, here you're talking about a maximum of 2 to 3 years only. I thought if you got into commercial tax reabatements that the minimum was 12 years.
The maximum,
Max.
the maximum is 10 or 12, depending on which one of the two tools you use.
So you don't have to go to the maximum, you can pick
Oh,
a
absolutely.
range? Okay, all
Absolutely.
right.
Most
So-
communities don't go to the maximum.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. But I'm in favor of this because I've been pushing for this for 8 months. But I do want a budget impact in terms of what this is going to impact the budget, because it's going to impact the DDA.
Absolutely. It would stop certainly any increment of increase
That's right.
for the DDA's budget. But I think that's why the limitation, 1 to 3 years, then you get the jump at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna set a study session in the future for the big book. Do you have anything else specifically for tonight?
No, if you had any comments, I've got an update. I know Joe asked about 3 businesses. I have an update on Sushi's.
Please. I'm all ears.
I spoke with the building department, and their architect is preparing a response to the building official's denial. He gave him a denial letter because of code issues, and the architect has not responded yet. So the Sushi's on hold because of the business's position they've taken with the architect. The Mediterranean restaurant by Lafayette Party Store is on hold due to the health department. The building department can't move forward without the health department approval. It's going to affect how they do their rough inspection. And then the hair salon, yes, it's open and it's very nice. The hair salon next to the theater.
Good. Yeah, and Bob, I wanted to, in response, just say thank you. I mean, one of the things, I mean, it seems like I said before, people have been campaigning on fixing the downtown for a decade or 15 years, and it's something that needs to be attention, and there's a lot of people in the public that want to know, and I'm just glad that we're keeping this on as a standing agenda item, because that was one of the things we talked about last time, was potentially removing it, and there's a lot of people in the public, and especially people who live downtown, and not just downtown, but all over, that really want to know what we're doing down there. So I'm glad that this item's here, and we'll keep on talking about it. So thank you.
I would like to add one item as far as the study session. We're coming up on construction season, and so sooner as opposed to later, I've had conversations with 2 folks that would like to possibly utilize it if it were available. I'm speaking of the facade grant. I don't see any potential for the tax abatement for probably 1 to 2 years out, from what I know, for a major project. But there are people that would like in the late April or May to get started on work. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Manager's report, Lynn.
All right, let me get to the right page. All right, I want to remind everyone that City Hall is closed next Monday, the 20th, in observance of the President's Day holiday. Since the last meeting, our new website has launched. We're continuing to add content and update pages with different things. So if there's any information that you are looking for but don't find, let us know. I've still got about 100 businesses to input into the business directory before that is complete. We have over 200 businesses in the city, and making sure that we've got all the correct information and websites for those is time-consuming. We've launched the online bill payment process with the new website. We did have some glitches with BS&A not being updated, but we've worked with both Point and Pay and BS&A, and we have ironed that out. It is possible to use debit and credit cards at City Hall and online, and if you'd rather pay by phone, that's an option as well. We also accept e-checks through the online and phone portals. So it's much more friendly. We are getting payments every day for different things, and as we continue to move forward, we hope to potentially be able to accept some of the building department payments online and schedule some of those inspections, that type of thing. I want to let the council know I will be out of the office beginning Thursday at noon through next Tuesday, but I will be available via phone or email. I will be doing a lot of traveling, so it's probably best to try and reach me by phone because I can talk hands-free that way. Won't have a lot of time to do emails till the evening. And as you may have seen, the governor last week appointed a task force to work on pension funding and OPEB liability. it's just something that faces most communities across the state. As they begin to meet and more information is available, I will make sure the council knows, and I will most likely be attending some of those meetings as well. So keep you up on that, and then I just want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Questions?
You have a question?
Yeah, for city manager. I have a couple things, Lynn.
Okay.
One of the things that, Lyon Township does a lot of good things, and I go to their meetings, and they have sparring at their meetings, just like they do in other communities. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that on their agenda, they have all their reports regarding DDA, fire, sheriff, CBA, right after the call to the public. So I'm just bringing that to council's attention, that maybe if they want to put reports like Bob's up on the beginning of the agenda, you might want to do it, and then that way, Bob, you don't have to stay here the whole meeting. If Bob Martin wants to leave because the meetings are getting too long, Bob can go home. Chief Kennedy, you bring your stuff up and do it early on your reports. I saw it work at Lyon Township. The fire department gave their report, other people gave their report, and they were gone. And then the township board then got on with their business. So it's just a suggestion, that way it might streamline things a little bit. Additionally, I got this from Lyon Township also. Lyon Township does this fabulous spreadsheet, and it's pertaining to keeping track of ordinance violations and zoning violations. And Lynn, I'll rip off a sheet and give it to you. And that way you can sort of see, and I'll pass it down for council to look at. What they've done is they've done a great organizational sheet of who's the violator, the nature of the violation, when the file was opened, action that's been taken. And they pass this out, I think, every quarter for the public to see, so that council could actually look at it, and we could sort of look at the status of things that are happening. So I thought that was kind of nice. That Lyon Township does too. You've addressed the MERS issue. I was out of town this weekend and got back and had some emails in my email folder, and it was pertaining to a Facebook posting by Lori Mosier. You might be aware of it.
I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, honestly.
I don't either, but I hear about it when people tell me. And apparently what the city bookkeeper said was, and it's pertaining to the problems with the water billing, there's absolutely no need to involve council at this point. And that obviously struck a nerve with a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there that believe that some of us are advocates, and we're very strong and passionate about what we say. And I guess there were individuals out there that felt that this was a real sidestep of council. There were comments that were made that weren't very positive of City Hall regarding what's going on. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and I will show you the posting.
I would assume that she made that statement because city staff and the city manager are to run the daily operations of the city. That's the way the city charter is written.
Mm-hmm.
So the issues with the credit card and the billing is a daily operations issue, which does not need to be elevated to a policy setting issue.
It probably could have been worded a little bit differently. Probably that is the way it should have been said, but it was clearly interpreted very, very differently than how you explained it. So just wanted to let you know.
Are you done?
Yes, thank you.
You're done, Lynn?
I'm done.
I have questions for manager's report. So I wanted to say thank you for bringing up MERS. As I mentioned 2 meetings ago, I'm going to bring this up every meeting and ask about it, because it is something that's not going away. We did have, I know the actuals were adjusted, but the fact is we went from 2.7 unfunded liabilities to 4.7 million. So you can sugarcoat it all they want it, but it's still big hanging out in front of us, so it's not going anywhere. So thank you for taking that up, Lynn. Also, I was going to mention the same thing at Maggie. Maggie, it's kind of funny that you got feedback when you're not on Facebook. It's that people got that big, bad taste in their mouth that they contacted you, and I got messages as well, and that people don't like being told that they can't contact their representative officials. I mean, that's why we're here, is to help people. So it kind of really left a bad taste in people's mouth. So just wanted to point that out. Also wanted to ask about the meeting. I was very concerned when the meeting wasn't recorded last time, and then to find out that the meeting still wasn't up on the website as of today. Is today even recording? I don't even know.
Yes, today is recording. We have a loaner monitor from the company.
Okay.
It is, the reason things did not work is we had blown a power supply on part of the system. Coming up in the budget, and I have reached out to the school district as well, is the fact that it's time to update the system. The reason we have a loaner monitor is because they are no longer able to get parts for our system. So without updating and getting a new recording system, potentially new cameras, we're going to continue to have challenges with the recording of the meetings, and they may not be able to fix the equipment once they start running out of parts from used monitors and used equipment.
So when did we start contacting the company to figure out if it was going to be fixed?
We contacted the company the day after the meeting, the last meeting, and they have been working on it. They were in here the day after that, so on Wednesday after the meeting on the 23rd, and they've been working on it.
Okay. All right, yeah, because, I'm concerned because there's people asking me if, this was deliberate, if this was sabotage. I don't know.
It was a power supply.
there
We
was-
have, the equipment in that room is as old as this building, so you're looking potentially 20 to 25 years old.
Yeah.
How many electronic devices do you have in your household that you're still using
Yeah.
that are
No,
25
I
years
know,
old?
and maybe if we have to have alternate options, maybe we do. Ryan was concerned. He was, thank you. He's concerned enough to bring a recorder himself, and, if necessary, he's at every meeting, maybe he'll do it. I don't know. But if that's the case, so.
It needs to be kept in mind that whether we have a video or not, the meeting and the official minutes as approved are the official
Fair
record,
enough, but
not
in
the
this day and
audio.
age, anybody can bring a camcorder, and it seems like it could be easy. You could set it up and,
They can also edit things in and out as well.
well, like I said, I was getting questions if it was sabotage, because there were some comments from the mayor saying that, drastic changes are gonna happen, and now he's not here, so I don't know. I don't know if there's any coincidence or not,
When
but,
Lisa contacted the schools to find out if they had had any issues or knew that the system was
Yeah.
out, they informed her that they had had problems the week before
okay.
with their recording.
Okay.
So they just did not let us know that there was an issue or call for anyone to look at the technology.
Okay, thank you for addressing it, and let's, hopefully
Are you
it's
done?
fixed. Yes,
All right,
thank
let's
you.
move on to council comments. Mr. Kibble.
I'd like to say thank you very much for that, the report from the fire department. Nice, comprehensive, good reflection of what the last year's performance had been. I had seen in the city manager's weekly reports, the chief had made reference to Lieutenant Dominuik having stepped away from the force due to the fact that his business is doing so well that he really can't afford the time to be in both places at one time. And that was reflected in the people that we've lost in the recent transition of the year. Apparently that had taken place at the end of, like in October or something. And so I was surprised to see that, but it was reflected in that, the annual report, and I appreciate that. So tomorrow is my wife's birthday on Valentine's Day, so I get the benefit of having that to lose.
You get away with one present.
It's harder to lose. Well, no, you know what? Very early on, I asked, did she want 2 cards, and it was not met with a lot of satisfaction. So, outside of that, I hope everybody has a nice week. We've got some weather turning for us. I'm pleased with that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mary Parsenian?
Okay, so I also wanted to say the same thing. Chief Kennedy, the annual report for the fire department was very concise, very informative, well done to you and your staff. Also for the new website, again, good work with that. I think it's a huge step for us, very progressive. We are on par with a lot of other communities who are doing the same thing now with payment methods and also just the looks. When people type South Lyon into the website and it pops up. We look like a professional community. We look like a community that has it together. So a huge progressive step, and it looks great. So again, thank you to you and the staff as well for that. And lastly, the Historical Society is putting on an event, also known as the 3 R's, Rare, Royal, and Ridiculous, and that's coming up on Tuesday the 21st at 7 o'clock. So that sounds like something everyone should check out if they have a chance. Aside from that, happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for listening.
There's more information about that under the news section on the website.
Excellent. There you go.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, so as a council member, I've been doing some research and just wanted to keep up to date with the things facing our city. And one of the things I kind of stumbled across was reviewing one of the recent tapes was during the meeting, the last meeting, two meetings ago, the January 9th, 17 meeting, the topic of a rec center came up, and it was suggested that, when this rec center came up, it was just exploratory, and I understand exploratory committee was formed, but I just want to kind of give maybe clear the record from at least my view, and because I think there is a little bit of a concern, not a huge concern, but a little bit that I wanted to bring to attention. And what I wanted to clear up is that as we remember, first off, as I stated at the previous meeting, is a rec center I think is terrific, something I would support. I have kids that are involved in recreation, football, wrestling, and all sorts of dance and everything. So if we could get a rec center, I think that'd be great, just not in South Lyon. We don't have the land mass to put it in South Lyon. We can get it in Lyon Township somewhere, however that's done. I would be all for that. So with that said, one of the things that was discussed was that this was just exploring. And as we recall, during that meeting, the topic was, okay, it's going to be in McCaddy Park, and there was a lot of people upset. I remember the lines of people. This was the biggest controversy probably in a decade. And there was people lined up all the way out the door, speaking for an hour or so. And that was going to be the site. The ball fields are going to be ripped up for 2 years. There was no figures. There was that was the plan. And at that meeting, June 22nd, 2015, we were asked to pass a resolution. And basically it says, McCaddy Park is seeking to have the location formally designated as the conceptual location and information related to preparing for the site for a joint community vote for the construction of community recreation center. Then it goes on to say, to designate the selected location of city-owned McCaddy Park property as the location for the community recreation center. So in one paragraph, the location was mentioned 3 times, and as the designated area was mentioned twice. And it even mentioned that the intent was to have a vote. So it was this document that we were asked to pass was handing over the keys to McCaddy Park, one of our jewels. And that was something I could not support. And why I'm mentioning this is that because unfortunately, during election season, it seems like this is when this topic always comes up of a rec center. And being that it is an election season, what does concern me is that when we voted on this in 2015, we passed a resolution we did not vote against this resolution. We actually just made a motion to postpone reviewing that discussion. So it could come up again, is my whole point. And if that's the case, I'm telling the public and I'm telling the viewers that for a rec center in Lyon Township, wherever it may be, but if it comes up again, and I'm going to be fighting to save McCaddy Park. So that was it. My next comment is just wishing everybody a happy Valentine's Day as well. Hope everybody has a nice night and day, and wish everybody a nice week. Thank you.
Mike?
Joe, I am amazed with your fascination of the rec center. The rec center's dead. The three communities that were looking at doing it, it just didn't work. So I am just amazed with your fascination and the fact that you keep bringing it up over and over and over when the rec center, as far as the 3 communities going forward with it, it's going to go nowhere. So thank you for keep bringing it up. I appreciate it. And please continue, because it's going to be the same response every time. Other than that, thank you.
Maggie?
Yeah, I got a lot to say. Tim, I have a couple of questions to ask you. I just wanted to know if you've had time to amend the December 9th invoice to reflect the phone call conversations that I brought to your attention.
I won't be amending. the
You won't?
invoice.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Additionally, as to the closed meeting on February 9th, I just wanted to know, did you have an opportunity to review the minutes to?
Which year?
This was February 9th
Of which
of
year?
2015, whether you had an opportunity to review the minutes to see whether or not there was,
I think I provided those to council with my letter,
those were the minutes?
along with additional meetings around it.
There actually would not be minutes still left from a 15 meeting, as I believe Lisa's required to destroy those minutes after a year.
That was exact,
Closed session or open?
Closed
it was a
session.
closed session.
I don't know that we ever received the closed session minutes.
Okay, well, that, unfortunately, that was not the answer I was expecting. And the reason is because Lynn was absolutely correct. I just want to let you know that the Open Meetings Act does say that minutes are to be held for a closed meeting. So what you do is, Lisa takes the minutes, and that is the opportunity to review those minutes. Those were the minutes I was referring to, were the minutes that were related to the closed meeting in order to ascertain whether or not a decision was made as to a particular real estate purchase. So the way to find whether or not that decision was made was to go to the closed meeting minutes. Your answer clearly indicated to me that you did not understand that the Open Meetings Act requires those minutes to be destroyed within 1 year and 1 day.
Oh, come on, Maggie.
She answered the question
I asked
correctly.
a clarification about the open versus closed, and now you're trying to trap me in a misstatement?
She answered.
What are you asking?
I-
What are you after?
You didn't know. You didn't know, Tim.
What is your point?
My point is that you did not know
All
that
right, move
minutes
on then.
were
Move on
were
then, please.
destroyed. Okay. My next agenda issue is that, let me get to that. Thank you, Lynn. You were absolutely correct in answering that question. Next, I was speaking with some potential candidates for city council, and I think they're going to be absolutely fabulous. I'm hoping that they decide to go through with their decision to run for council. And I always find it interesting as why do people want to run for city council? And the question clearly was asked of me, why did I run for city council? And I think now probably is a good time to explain why I ran for city council, and I can tell you when the straw broke the camel's back. The straw that broke my back that said it was time to run for city council was when I reviewed a city council meeting on April 13th of 2015. That was a city council meeting, April 13th of 2015. At that meeting, a taxpayer revealed to the city council that she received a $1,244 water bill from the city of South Lyon. This taxpayer lived alone. She never knew the amount of the bill was false. But that's what she got from the city of South Lyon. She called the city and spoke to the person who issued the bill, and the city employee told the taxpayer that, oh yeah, that was a
Maggie,
false, excuse me.
I'm going to interrupt you, Maggie.
No, this is
council comments.
This
not
is
your
my council
campaigning.
comment. I'm not running for anything.
Be brief.
I'm not, no.
Be brief.
No.
This is out of order.
This isn't the Kremlin.
Council rules.
Out of order.
No, Harvey, you're covering things up.
Council rules
You're
allow
covering
us to
things
You
up.
are out of order.
No, you're covering
gonna
things
gavel
up,
me like
Harvey.
you said last
So the
meeting?
reason that I decided to run for city council at that time
Maggie,
was.
you're out of order.
The reason I decided to run was because there was inappropriate conduct
Entertain
of
a
a
motion
city
to
employee.
adjourn.
All right, this will be discussed next meeting then if that's
Yeah,
the case.
this is wrong because
I will
this,
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Council
Well, the
rules
criminal
allow
con-
us
Yeah,
to
move
talk
to
about
adjourn.
this.
Yeah.
Council rules,
Well,
they're
I'll file a
violating
police
council rules
report.
right now.
You want me to
This
file a
is-
police report?
This is like
You gotta
Gestapo
check it.
here.
I'll file a police report.
I'll ask it to be removed if you would like me to do that.
No, that's okay. But let me finish what I was
All in
saying.
favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye.
Cover up.
Opposed, No.
This is a cover up.
We are
This is a
adjourned.
cover-up.
This is
This is a cover-up.
clearly
This
a
is a
cover
cover-up.
up, just like the meeting not being
Well,
recorded.
that's just-
This-